before a leader is established, you have to understand what's their mission that they want to accomplish and what's the vision on how we can accomplish that mission.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Today, the Tomorrow podcast. So glad that you're here. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate it. Fellas, how we doing?
Good.
This is another episode in our I would say business, but this would be like a second of a leadership series. So it's like both. It kind of fits.
It's a hybrid, yeah.
It's a hybrid. But to start it off and just have an open conversation here. So God, when inside of the Bible, he relates himself to two animals. Okay, there's the eagle and there's the lion. And I was looking at the lion, right? And then the lion, everybody puts, I think you have a tattoo of a lion.
Right. I got multiple tattoos on my head. Yeah, that's all. Yeah.
We know the lion as the king of the jungle. We know the lion as strong, ferocious. But the thing about it is when you look into like the capabilities of a lion, it's not the strongest animal, right? It's not the fastest animal. It's not the biggest animal either. But for some reason, the lion is still considered king. And God related himself to a lion. And so I look into that, and then I was thinking about, okay, what is it? What is it about the lion? If we already have the understanding that the lion isn't all these things, why relate yourself to the lion? Mm-hmm. Is it just because he's the king? What makes him the king? But the way that this kind of relates to the leadership subject is because the thing about a lion is when a lion looks at an elephant, knowing that the elephant is bigger, knowing that the elephant could crush him, knowing that the elephant is this massive, ginormous creature that's probably bigger than anything he will see inside of the wild, he sees lunch. But the elephant sees danger.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Yeah. No, that's good, man. It's crazy because we didn't really talk about, just letting y'all know, we didn't know exactly what the title was going to be on this one. We were like, let's just flow. But I love that you went there, man, because, obviously I have, a little bit of affliction for lions, like affinity, for lions. And everything that you said though, man. And it's funny because now I'm thinking about this first tattoo I got when I was 15 years old. And I wish, anybody wait to get your tattoos. I wish I would have waited because I'm like, I would have got it, more high quality. But even then, I remember from my earliest memories, and I talked to my mom about this. I tried to ask her, like, where did I get this affinity for lions from? She was like, since the beginning, you've always had it. Mm-hmm. And everything that you mentioned, that was why I was just enamored by the fact that the lion's attitude is like the way a lion carries itself. It's not because, like you said, it's not the facts of is he the most powerful animal in the jungle. It's just he's the king because of the way he produces when it's time to produce, right? And to me, I think as people, we have animal-like instincts. Mm-hmm. And so for me, I was, a lion's not always ferocious. It's ferocious when it's time to be ferocious. A lion's not always on the attack, killing prey, but when it's time, they show up and they get it done. They're relentless. Mm-hmm. So no, this is a great topic to kind of dissect and, how to correlate how do you tap into some of those animalistic instincts and incorporate like in our leadership life, our everyday life.
Yeah, no, I was just looking up a lion, why it's the king of the jungle, because I never really, thought about it. You hear it and you see it, but the description was like, they call it an apex warrior. and it has nothing preys on it. Yeah, but it's strategic, it's powerful, it's strong. So it's a combination to your point. It might not be the smartest animal, but it's strategic in what it does. It has that whole balance, that combination of all those things to make it the king because, and you think, I used to watch Wild Kingdom back in the day. Y'all might not know about Wild Kingdom.
No, I did. I used to watch it too.
Yeah, and you watch them when they hunt. You know what I mean? They'll look at a herd. And, there's power in the herd. So they knew they would look for the strays, the weakest ones, you know what I mean? And that's where they would attack. So they wouldn't attack at the heart of something. They had to figure out where's the best entry point. So we talk about leadership. A leader understands what type of environment they're in.
Yeah.
They understand where the strengths are and the weaknesses are. You know what I'm saying? So you think about even a lion leading the pack, they would have challengers, but they had to keep control. You know what I mean? They had to keep it in a way where if it's going to be peace, they had to make sure everybody knew they were the peacemaker.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you're saying. And it's funny because if my memory serves me correctly, but I think for every pack, it's only one male.
Yeah.
And like you said, at any point, it's the animal rules, so it can be challenged by another male lion that wants to take over that pack. And so going into the mindset of being a leader in an organization, a business, even a family, you're going to be challenged. And you have to be fit enough and able enough to rise up to the challenge. And so these are the things that another thing, when you're the leader, you're really serving the whole pack.
Yeah.
This is something that people don't realize that, whenever you say you want to be in a position to lead others, you're going to spend 10 times the amount of serving, making sure everybody else's needs are being fulfilled. So it comes with a sense of responsibility that is not directly obvious to some people.
One thing that you said when after you gave your public service announcement, listen to that. You mentioned a word. You said attitude. The lion has that attitude, and I think that is absolutely key to us here on this planet right now. Because the thing is, that's 100% true. The lion has a different attitude than every other animal. That apex, that is attitude. And so for us, I always go back to Genesis 1. What were we created for? We were created in the image of God, after his likeness, to have dominion. And so when I think about what is that, how does that relate to our leadership? How does that relate to how Jesus walked this earth? Jesus he was not the bodybuilder. He was not the big 300-pound, he wasn't doing that. And also too, I don't see a single verse about talking about how fast he ran.
No, how great athlete he was.
No, I also don't see a verse saying that although he could, he didn't just say, I'm gonna, because y'all pissed me off, I'm gonna send down fire from heaven. No. Jesus had a different attitude than everybody else. He knew what his assignment was. And so when we're talking about having dominion, being a leader on this earth right now, it's like we were literally just having a conversation about faith. Us knowing that in our makeup is the capacity and the potential to lead and have dominion over the area that God created us for. That means that there is nothing within the lane that you're supposed to be in that you should be afraid of, running away from. Every time you see a big challenge or an obstacle or a vision from God, lunge.
Yeah. No, the thing what Mike said and what you're saying too is one thing about being that servant. And then when you talk about Jesus, you think about the model as a leader, how he modeled leadership. He was a servant first, right? But at the same time, people challenged his leadership too. They came at him, Pharisees, Sadducees, whatever, questioning him. And I'm pretty sure there's some other people that we didn't even read about that's probably coming. Even the people where he was born at, you know, they saw him growing up. In a way, they challenged him because he couldn't do nothing at home because they're like, oh, you Jesus. You know what I'm saying? They didn't give him the respect he deserved. Yeah. So the point of getting at it, though, as a leader, though, how he handled all that, he handled it with the truth. He didn't back down from telling the truth. When God was being challenged or being, you know, like the whole turn over the tables and so forth, you know, he had what I call righteous anger because he's like, wait a minute, this ain't what this temple was made for. You know, so he stood up is what I'm saying, what I'm getting at. And that attitude was like, hey, I'm coming to respect God's plan, not my own or what. I mean, well, Jesus is God, but I'm coming to respect what God is doing. That attitude was about doing what God is doing. Whereas like the lion, hey, he got an attitude because he's like, I know what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. I have a purpose.
Yeah, and, you know, so one of the common words I think we're all kind of, you know, repeating is the fact like a certain attitude when you conduct your business and mm-hmm. conduct your life. Mm-hmm. Because if a lion walked around and conducted himself as a zebra, you know, you would almost take yourself out of your rightful position, which is the king of the kings, right? King of the jungles. And you're putting yourself in a lower position simply based off of something that's internal. It may not even be real. And when you think about it in life, a lot of people, we come across people that do this on both ends of the spectrum. Some leaders walk into the room and you feel instantly motivated by them. Mm-hmm. You're like, man, this person got a presence. You know, you talking about a business and you're like, you know what? I don't have all the details, but I like it. Let's go with it. Like, I think we can do it, you know, because it's the attitude. Like, they're so sure it's going to happen. That gives me confidence. I have momentum based off of how sure they are, and I want to dive in and do my part. Then on the flip side, you get some people in the room, you know, I call them energy zappers. As soon as they come in the room, you feel drained. And you're like, oh man, here goes so-and-so. You're like, man, here, I know they coming with some schemes and some lies and all types of stuff, you know, but it all goes back to the attitude and how they've conduct themselves. And so another thing I was thinking about is just your name, man. You know, the value that people place on your name is so powerful if it's based off of you just showing up, you know, over the years, over the times. And this is something that I don't think enough people really take into consideration, because it's times where it's things that can happen and, you know, or disappointments that people may not ever reprimand you for or chastise you for not showing up, but everything that you do is associated back to your name.
Yeah. And I want to take us down another, flip this for a minute. So we're talking about Lion being a good example of a leader characteristic, Jesus being the perfect example of a leader. So what happens with bad leadership? Because I'm saying that from a personal viewpoint where, you know, sometimes I work for bad leaders. I've been around some bad leaders. And they're still in leadership. People still following them. But there's an impact to that, right?
Yeah.
And even in churches, you got some bad leaders. So what does that look like compared to what we're showing as a model leader? What does a bad leader look like? And then what's the impact of a bad leader? Because that's attitude too. There's attitude associated with that as well. I don't know which one of y'all want to jump in.
Yeah, I would say one of the quickest things that come to my mind is, in my mind, it's the opposite of being a leader is just being a selfish person, having a selfish nature where everything that you're doing, or a narcissistic nature, like everything that you're doing, you're thinking about how can this come back to benefit me? To me, in almost every situation, if you're leading with a narcissistic mindset, that's a recipe for disaster. And the problem is, it's not always obvious even to the person. A lot of people lead in this manner and they don't even realize that they're being narcissistic or selfish in their nature because they've been so wired to believe this is the way that they should. Maybe they've been shown the wrong example and they've adopted bad habits.
I think that part of the issue with bad leader, I think a bad leader or someone who is effectively leading people in the wrong direction is probably one of the worst crimes to mankind, honestly, because influence is the most powerful weapon or tool, period, for man. And so to be a leader means that you have influence over other individuals.
Yeah.
And so to be misusing that, or to be deliberately or intentionally going in the wrong direction, or even ignorantly, there's a penalty for that. And I think, one, when he said that you spotted somebody, you probably know about it. There's a few different characteristics that you could just name right off top, just because it's like, okay, obviously this is a bad picture right here. But I think as believers, I think it's very important that we are hyper cautious of what we're doing and why we're doing it. Because to Mike's point, if you understand the why of what you're doing and you know that it's for your benefit, but the people are looking to you for help, but you don't serve them, you're serving yourself using them. Now you a different breed of person and you should be stopped. But I need to talk to the people who are following you, and I need them to start to think for themselves, because every time when I see a lack of leadership, it always stems from a lack of identity. You don't know who you are. I know for a fact my life changed when I truly understood, when I truly started to understand the kingdom. When I read, from repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. From this time on, the only thing that Jesus preached or taught was repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. When I realized that, I'm like, okay, what is this kingdom thing? And then I started to put the pieces together. Oh, so in the beginning, we were created to have, we were above the angels at one point. We're created to have, we're supposed to be fruitful, multiply, subdue, replenish, have dominion over everything. We're supposed to rule this place. Something's off. This doesn't seem right. When I look around, I see sheep. And so, like, the crazy thing is like, when you understand that you were built a certain way, when you understand that you are as a believer, a child of God, a child of the King, there's authority that comes with that. There's responsibility that comes with that. And there's dominion. And so that means that whatever you thought your potential was, it's infinitely greater. And now you need to conduct yourself as royalty, because you are.
Yeah. And that's something I think that responsibility that comes with that. And, I brought up the whole, what is the bad leader piece of that, because in reality, and you hit it on the head, whether the people watching this consider themselves a leader or they're not, but at some point, everybody who are watching, you're following something or someone in some sense of, whether it be your job, whether it be your church, whether it be somewhere. And it's key to identify whether you are following a good leader or a bad leader. I don't mean that leader don't need help in some areas, but what are some of the fundamental, we talked about being a servant, but what are some of the fundamental characteristics that you want a leader to have? We done touched on it, but can we lay it out in a way so people can say, okay, this person got the character traits of a good leader.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I think number one, before a leader is established, you have to understand what's their mission that they want to accomplish and what's the vision on how we can accomplish that mission. Okay, because in the beginning, if their mission isn't aligned with yours and the vision doesn't make sense to you, you don't feel like this is something you want to get behind, that's a very early sign that you may need to seek other areas that you want to go ahead and be in. Because, my outlook has always been, I have to understand something, I have to be totally into something I have to understand what we're doing for me to be totally into something.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
If it doesn't make sense to me, or I don't have faith in leadership that this is going to actually come to fruition, I'm never going to be all in.
Okay.
And so why even waste your time? Why waste my time? I'm going to go another route.
Yeah.
I think if you want a list of characteristics, you can go to the fruits of the Spirit, and you can go to the definition of love from 1 Corinthians 13. It said, love is patient, love is kind.
Mm-hmm.
Love is not envious, it does not boast.
Mm-hmm.
It's not self-seeking,
Mm-hmm.
it's not after itself. Fruits of the Spirit, temperance, forbearance, love,
Mm-hmm.
faithfulness. If you want to know what a leader is, it is all those things wrapped up in one. And the thing is, here in the world today, when you think of leader, you might think, oh, well, I heard that Steve Jobs was a great leader because he used to yell at all of his teammates, and that's what whipped him into shape, and that's how this big thing was created. Jesus is the model of leadership because he didn't take the world's approach.
Mm-hmm.
He took the kingdom's approach.
And it's important because what you just said, I just think about a leader cares about the people that they lead.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There's a legitimate concern there. I've seen people who have been, they've done great with whether it be companies or whatever, and they see the person who was sweeping the floor, and they make that person know that they're important to them. You know what I'm saying? Because they care about that. And then it might have been said here a little bit too, that other person, that bad leader feels like those individuals serve him, that they subject to him or her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That these are my subjects, meaning not in the kingdom viewpoint where it's like you trying to make it better for the people and you care about them, but no, it's like they're at my beck and call to do what I want them to do.
I feel like you are not ready to be a leader until you are willing to go for something, whether no one follows you or not. I think that defines your path right there. Because the thing is, Jesus was going to be on Jesus' mission. He knew he was created for a specific reason, and he carried that out from the beginning.
That goes back to that vision piece.
Mm-hmm. And the whole thing, it's funny because we was kind of in the same frame of mind, but one of the biggest telltale signs of a true leader is how are they called to that position? Because I know Pastor Rodney and I, we talked about this many, many times, and we talked about it. I think you said you read a book where it's called like Reluctant Leadership.
No, I didn't read that book. But
okay, somebody with, yeah. So reluctant leadership is you come into a leadership position based on the needs of the many. And so you're the one that needs to be the shepherd in that sense. What doesn't happen is you come in the room saying, listen, I got to run the show. I got to be doing this. And that's to me always a red flag when people want to just assert themselves into the ultimate leadership positions when, they haven't properly listed credentials. Are they qualified? We haven't properly vetted them. Does the team get behind them is one of the most important. Like, do you have the ability to articulate the vision in a manner to where people are going to want to be behind you? And these are the things that a lot of times leaders they should be established through trials, because we need to see how you react when you're tested. When you go through, when things don't go right, that's when real leaders truly show up.
And this is something where we all got to look in the mirror too. And we all are leaders in some form or fashion. And looking in the mirror to say, okay, where do I need to improve? You know what I mean? As we talk about this, and I think going back to Christ being that symbol, what they call a true to perfect leadership model, is where do I need to improve as a leader, whether it be in my household, whether it be in my family, my neighborhood, at the job, and business, whatever it may be. I think that's a character too. Where can I become better?
Yeah.
At what I'm doing.
I think it's important. I want to just restate what we were just talking about right there. It's just being a leader does not mean that there are people following you. Being a leader means that you have an actual mission, a purpose for what you're doing, and you're just going. And because of your conviction, because of your passion, because you will not be moved off of this path, people want to follow you.
So, I know we get to that point too to close, kind of summarize this up in a way that, we try to do at the end of the sessions. I don't know, either one of you got any thoughts on how to summarize something? Because I think it kind of speaks for itself, a lot of it, but what are some of those words or thoughts we want people to kind of take home and really, really ruminate on, as we say?
Ruminate. Just wait into this.
Yes, that's true.
I think it all goes back to, it always all goes back to the word, the original blueprint where we were created for, in Genesis. We need to expand our vision and multiply. And I think we need to spend time talking to God and just really asking for clarity to show, where do I need to make my moves at? Where do I need to show up as a leader? And sometimes, it's another thing I don't know if we mentioned, but being a leader is taking a step back and allowing other people to come in the forefront because they may be better suited in different capacities. Yeah. And so that would be my one takeaway, is just try to be ultra aware of every situation, realizing that every situation is fluid. Mm-hmm. And in different scenarios, I tell my people all the time, like, listen, if you the expert in this matter, I need you to give me feedback because that's why you're here. Mm-hmm. If I didn't trust your capacity, your capabilities, I wouldn't have you in this position. If you're not fit for the job, communicate that. Mm-hmm. And we can get some other people, we can get it figured. Just being honest, we can get it figured out but a lot of times, sometimes people need to be challenged in that manner to look at themselves as a leader, because it goes back to that attitude. Some people you don't wake up with the attitude of a lion. That's something that has to be developed, nurtured, fostered. Like when we speak to the kids, we tell them, like, look, we see something in y'all. Mm-hmm. Y'all might not even see it yet, but we telling you that you can develop into something more than what you are.
It made me think about using the lion and Wild Kingdom as an example again. Sometimes you don't wake up wanting to be a lion that day. You know what I'm saying? I think about it in Wild Kingdom. Sometimes the lion was hurt, like might have hurt his paw or something like that. And then you could see it kind of shielding it, trying to, limp around a little bit. And then its challenger, whoever will see that weakness and then try to challenge it at the moments. And that lion would step up for the fight because they knew it had to fight. It wouldn't run. Mm-hmm. So, that's part of that too. You're not going to always feel like leading. You're not going to always want to be put in that position. But no matter how you feel it, you called to do what you call to do, and you got to step up into it. And that's that attitude.
I hope that one day, when you look in the mirror, you see who you really are. Because the day that I kind of understood the kingdom is when I actually saw myself. Because the thing is, sometimes, the lion that doesn't realize that they're a lion, they look in the water, they see their reflection, and they might get scared. So, what is that? Mm-hmm. The roar doesn't sound familiar. But when you realize who you are, you walk in it. Mm-hmm. You live like it. You act like it. Your attitude looks like it. Because you're different. You were born to have dominion. You were born in royalty. Mm-hmm. You ain't supposed to be the end. You're not supposed to be the tail. You're not supposed to be beneath. You're supposed to be on top. And that's how God made you to be.
Man, I think that's Dot on the I, man. I don't think there's anything else to add to that. I mean, that's on point. That's real. That's real. Going back to Genesis, putting it in this context, God created us to lead.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Today for Tomorrow podcast. We appreciate you for being here. Go ahead and subscribe if you have not already. And public service announcement. Rodney, what you got?
Hey, Man 2.0, come out second Saturday every month. Meet 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., actually noon. That's on, that is at 28202 Franklin Road, Southfield, Michigan. If you're in the area, Metro Detroit area, come on, check us out. And once again, we have Sunday service as well with Freedom in Christ Ministry on Sundays at 11:30 a.m. Same location. Come on out in person and worship God with us.
Come check us out on IG at Detroit Investor _WCI. Got some merch. Wearing one today where it says embrace the game, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Got some other taglines for you to check out too.
Fellas, ladies, people, if you out there right now, if you can hear me, I want you to know about something. Well, first off, let me identify. If you're one of those people who you've been reading the Bible for a while, or you're just getting reacquainted with the Bible, maybe you were in the church as a kid, you haven't been there in a while, you read the Bible on and off, but it's never really stuck. You've never really understood it that well. That's why you haven't really been sticking with it. I got something for you. It's called the How to Read and Study the Bible Guide, completely free from Freedom in Christ Ministry. And it's going to actually walk you through step by step what to do before reading the Bible, how to understand it, how to be thinking before you get into it. And then it's going to give you these steps on how to dig deep into the word and truly see yourself. I want you to get that. It's inside of the information below, and I hope you enjoy it. We will definitely be celebrating you once you do. So thank you for tuning into another episode. Again, I'm going to tell you to subscribe if you have not already, okay? I'm talking to you. Go ahead and press the button, okay? Thanks. And we're going to see y'all next week.
Peace.